All right, so just want to do a little recap video of what Michaela's learned in the past 3 or 4 days. We spent probably like 12 to 15 hours on the charts, so gonna see if she can draw some support, resistance, what her bias would be going into the day. I haven't told her anything, so this is all gonna be her own analysis and everything. Gonna look at Edgeful a little bit and then just see what she thinks will happen today.
So first things first, check Edgeful.
What do we want to look at? The very first thing we want to look at.
Previous day's range.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. What does this report tell us?
It's gonna be a green day today, or
Why?
it's 68% gonna be a green day today.
But why? Previous day high broken.
Okay, sorry.
It's right here.
That's.
It's right here.
No, I need to know this.
Okay.
Previous day high broken.
So previous day high broke. So we're looking at a green day today.
Yes.
So if we look at the daily, you can just confirm that on Wednesday we broke Tuesday's high. So
right. Okay.
that's as simple as that.
Gotcha.
So we already have we're starting to form a bias.
Gotcha. Hey.
We're looking for support and resistance zones.
Support. Yes, correct.
Okay. What time frame do we want to use those on?
Correct. Support and resistance zones. The 15-minute.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go to the 15. Does anything stand out to you right now?
This seems like resistance because it goes back and forth, and then it pops back up.
You mean
Or
support?
support, yeah.
Yeah.
And then resistance would be if it went like that and then went back down.
Okay. So draw it out.
So this is your support zone right there.
Okay.
This is it.
Yep.
This
exactly.
is it right here.
So
this would be.
yeah, but we've been grinding through this.
That would be your resistance.
Draw it up to the highs. There you go. Okay. So we have a higher time frame resistance and we have a lower time frame support. We're going into bullish on the day. This zone has almost been completely invalidated. Okay. So I would expect, what would you expect?
I expect it to keep on going up. I think it's going to break the high.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I would expect as well. Especially because previous day it's green. We're on a current green streak.
Yep.
This should crack through this resistance zone, like today. Ideally, is what I would look for. What else do we have going on today?
Is there news?
Okay, so today is Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So what news we got?
Initial job claims, U.S. trade deficit, U.S. work the Fed is top now.
I wouldn't care about the Federal
You wouldn't care.
Reserve. I don't give a fuck about that.
Initial
Excuse
jobless.
me. I don't care about Fed speakers. They're talking heads.
Initial jobless claims.
Okay.
That sounds bearish.
No. Okay. Initial.
Bullish.
Okay. It's not a bearish or bullish report, but it's based off the results that we get. Okay. And then we have U.S. trade deficit. Why would that be important? What's going on in the current market? What's been the big news stories recently?
Tariffs.
Yeah. So what's this relate to?
Tariffs.
Yep.
That's tariff news.
Okay, it's just trade as a whole, but since tariffs are directly related to trade, I want to pay attention to it.
Gotcha.
And then U.S. productivity.
Yep.
Why would that be important? So the last GDP report that we had was negative.
Okay.
You don't want a negative GDP report.
Okay.
So this can give us insight onto what the next GDP report might be.
Perfect.
The estimates are positive for it so far. So
there's a good amount of news coming out of
yeah,
then.
this is the least important report. This is the most important report. This U.S. jobless claims, initial jobless claims, this is the most important. This one's probably not that important. U.S. trade deficit, that could be more important just because of the tariffs.
Cool.
Okay, so we're bullish going into the day.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lower time frame support. I would draw this personally. I would draw this like this.
Okay.
Just take in the Asia highs down to the lunch lows.
Okay.
Because we do keep popping up from it. Some people might draw this like this, where they incorporate this last big candle before the push up.
Just kind of tighten it up a little bit.
Yeah. And some people might even draw it like this, where you're just like looking at this area before this jumped up in London. So we have a low time frame support, higher time frame resistance, but we're pushing through it so far.
Yep.
Okay. Where would you draw your fib from right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
I would look at the most recent
Yeah.
info.
Yeah. I think this is valid. because let's say we didn't make this new low yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we're looking at this pushed up to 0.5, rejected lower. This is currently in support, so this fib might be invalid. Once we get back up here, you're just gonna have to wait and see for the reaction.
Okay.
I would look at another. So this, there's not really a good fib here. There's not really like pivots that stand out to me.
Right.
I'd look at this, but it's I don't really like it that much. There's not really a good one on a high time frame right now.
Okay.
Besides like here to the top.
Okay.
Like here to here. This one would be good. But it's just we're not pulling down to these levels at all. So these levels aren't really relevant to me unless we start breaking these lows and heading towards here. And then the reason I want to use that one instead of this one, if I was looking at this on a higher time frame, yeah, we rejected from the 618, but then we came down and immediately rallied up through it. And then we're continuing to push. So this to me, it was valid here, but once we got this strong push up through, it's no longer valid. Okay. And then let's take a peek at Bookmap for pre-market. It's not going to be, there's not going to be much in here on Bookmap. So currently our volume delta is negative. So might lean towards the bearish side there. But what are we seeing here?
Big pops of sellers. Sellers kept on getting absorbed, and then the buyers came back, and then it sold off. So technically there's resistance zones even in Bookmap too, huh?
Yeah. So this, we got a nice big leg up here.
Yeah.
So we have selling at these lows.
But
it didn't push lower.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
We're getting, this isn't, we're getting selling here and here. And that's where we had big buyers step up. So to me, right now, it looks like the buyers are sustaining. We are pre-market. So, this isn't a lot of volume. This volume 100, 55, 49, 131. Even in London, we were getting 300, 226, 203, 179, 125. Back in Asia, there was even a bid down here for 771.
Damn.
Or not a bid, but there was 771 units transacted.
Damn.
Back at 21742. This seller's not getting rewarded at all. So we pushed down to 21725. So literally 15 points. That's not this is not a good indication for sellers.
Gotcha.
It's really this market, all the sell-offs, and if we look here, has there really been any selling?
Not really.
In the past few days, in the week, has there been any selling?
Tuesday.
No, this was Monday.
Oh.
Tuesday was just full trend day.
Gotcha. Monday.
So we would probably expect a continuation of trend. Okay. Let's look at anchor your VWAPs. Anchor the VWAPs. Use this. So use this tool.
This is
what VWAPs do we want to look at?
This is my not so strong suit.
So the first one is going to be our weekly.
Okay.
So I'm going to make
little squiggly.
yeah. Okay. I'm going to make this green just so we can tell it apart. Okay. So right now, what's happening based off this VWAP?
It's going to go up.
It's continuing to move. It's continuing to move up.
Yeah.
So this is telling us what?
That we're on an uptrend?
Yeah. The bulls are in control. Anytime, so we dipped below this a little bit. I mean, this is the start of the VWAP, so dipping below this in the pre-market of Monday, that's not really a big deal to me. And then this has sustained above it for the entire week.
Okay.
And then even when we got close to this on Tuesday during London, and we immediately moved away from it.
Okay.
So I like how this VWAP is making it gaps up, flattens out, gaps up, flattens out, gaps up, flattens out.
Gradual,
Yeah, that to me is bullish, and we're pretty far away from it. We're about 150 points away from it, somewhere in there. Okay, so that's my first VWAP. What are the other VWAPs I'm looking at?
Daily, weekly.
Yep, daily's another one. So if I take my VWAP tool,
Yep.
or where would I anchor that one? If I want to anchor it for today.
For today.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it true day open?
You're close. So we want to anchor it on the overnight session.
Overnight. Okay.
Yeah, you had it right though, because you said daily, right? So our overnight VWAP, we're pretty much flat. We're pretty much sitting right at it.
Okay.
So bulls sustained above it on this run up.
Mm-hmm.
Bears pushed it down, and now where we're at, we're pretty much level. So if bears can sustain below this in the pre-market, maybe lean bearish, but it looks like we're coming up, back up above it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the sellers, we can confirm this on Bookmap. Okay, they're selling at these lows. What does this tell you? They're selling here, here, here. There's a lot of selling at the lows.
Yeah.
And
It doesn't move too much.
yeah, so what does it tell you?
It's not sustained.
Yeah, so the sellers aren't getting rewarded on this move down.
Yep.
The sellers back here, they did, yeah.
Yeah, they did.
There was buying at these highs, didn't continue to move up, and then sellers came in.
Damn.
And then we had more buying at these highs, more sellers came in. But now the people selling down here, they're not getting anything out of it.
No.
They're not getting anything out of this move. This CVD is starting to move back up.
Yep.
So our delta's moving up, which is what we would want to see if we're bullish.
Perfect.
Okay, now we're above the VWAP for the overnight.
There we go.
And then what's the last VWAP we would anchor? The Open of New York. Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
why we
Thank
can't
you.
anchor it.
Okay.
We can't anchor it because we're in pre-market.
I said the Open of New York earlier.
Okay. So overall, we're going into the day bullish.
Bamboozled. Okay.
But we want to watch out for this news. This news comes out an hour before open.
Yep.
So that's going to have an impact on the market.
Okay.
Usually you could see a pretty big swing on that. We just had a couple other jobs reports. We had a JOLTS report. We had ADP employment. So ADP employment's private sector.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an unemployment report. So it's slightly different, but we would want to see so this ADP employment came in well under expectations.
Okay.
The expectation was, the mean forecast was 110,000.
Mm.
So we were expecting to gain jobs because our median forecast, 110,000.
Yep.
Our previous report was 60,000. So we were expected to gain 50,000 jobs, and we had 37,000.
Damn.
Okay, so that's a private sector report. It encompasses about 20% of the businesses in the U.S.
Mm.
So this isn't the most important job report,
Mm.
but we saw the initial reaction was a sell-off down.
Yep.
But what does the Fed want to do? The Fed wants to make sure that we have maximum employment and keep inflation low. Inflation's been steadily dropping, and this report is showing some weakness in the job market. So we would assume, okay, even though this is a bad report, like it's bad overall,
Mm-hmm.
since it's showing some weakness in the labor market, we would look for the Fed to potentially cut rates sooner because they want to keep the job market healthy.
Yep.
So that's actually a bullish report in my eyes,
Okay.
even though the initial report is bearish.
Gotcha.
So overall, we have a decent bias going in, and then the other thing we want to look at is what's our Friday report.
Yep.
This is NFP, so this is a big report. Again, U.S. employment report, unemployment rate, hourly wages.
Yeah.
Hourly wages isn't really an important report.
Okay.
It's this unemployment rate and this employment report.
Do they usually put it from like most important to least?
No.
Typically? No?
No.
Okay.
It's just like, so this one came out after the PMI.
Mm-hmm.
I think this ISM was more important than the PMI.
Overall, first you check edgeful, you check the lows and highs of the day before. If they break, that can tell you,
if we're going to continue.
If we're going to continue.
If we're going to sustain the trend. And another thing with this report, so this previous day high broken, 68% chance of a green day. Even at 2 years, this is still 66%.
Okay.
So overall, like, even though that we're looking at 6 months of data, it doesn't really change too much.
Okay.
And changes by 2%.
Sweet.
So when we're looking at that, if you think about it, there's going to be a lot of times where we have consolidation, and that's why this is a lower percentage.
Gotcha. Okay.
But since we're forming a bull leg, we're starting to move up slowly but steadily. We have had 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to count this day because it's just so flat.
Right.
1, 2, 3 green days in a row. When we look back at the chart, this day or this leg, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh wait, this was a negative day. So we had 4 days green in a row. Then we had another green day, another green day, another green day, another green day. And what keeps happening here is we keep sweeping the highs. But when we're thinking about that number, this 68%, we also have to think about, okay, well, the market consolidates sometimes. And we sweep out this high, so we should have a green day the next day. But then we have a red day.
Yep.
And that sweeps the low. And then we have a green day the next day, sweeps highs. So this would go into the stat as well.
Perfect.
But yes, this sweeps previous day high. So this data here encompasses all of the days where previous day high was swept, all of the days where previous day low was swept. But you have to think about the consolidation. The market's going to consolidate some days. So here or here, when we're sweeping out the high, and then we print red, and then we swept out the low as well on this candle, prints green, sweeps out the low, prints red. You have to look at the consolidation of the market, because there's going to be times where you sweep out high one day, then you sweep out low next day, sweep out high, sweep out low. So just think about that sometimes, because like here we swept out the high and then we printed red.
Okay.
We swept out the low and then we printed green. So all that goes into it. So that number, it looks, if you think about it, it's better when we're having bull legs, and you can see it consistently in the chart where this we have multiple green days in a row.
Yep.
This leg we have multiple green days in a row. This leg we have multiple green days in a row.
Yep.
This leg we have multiple green days in a row. Multiple green days in a row. Multiple green days in a row. This back here as well. So when we're looking at this on the daily, this looks like a nice bull leg to me. It's stalling out a little bit, but this news could pop us up. Even if it's negative, it can pop us up. But
Sweet.
So we want to lean towards the bull side. And the only other thing I would see is there's potential for this to be an additional fib on a lower time frame. But we're right at VWAP, so I'm not expecting the market to move much until we get that report that comes out in 30 minutes.
Cool.
So the market's probably just going to sit and consolidate. I wouldn't expect it to move that much until we get that. But overall, been pretty solid, 4 or 5 days, something like that.
Yep.
So a lot of chart exposure. But anything else? Anything you can think of?
Not really. I was just gonna fully summarize what I learned.
What did you learn?
So Edgeful, you go into Edgeful, you check the day before if it's gonna break, if it's gonna be the same trend, and then you go on to.
We also want to check like the initial balance. If the first hour is green. Yep. There's a bunch of reports. So the best way to do that is just go to the what's in play screen. So since we're in pre-market, the only one that really matters is this orb. So, okay, pre-market we can't really look at too much, but once the market opens, there's the orb, there's the IB, there's the opening candle continuation, previous day range, average daily range, all of that, consecutive bars, power hour breakout. So there's a bunch of stuff to look through in Edgeful. I'm mostly just looking at the previous day range as of right now. This is only 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if we check full day, it might change the stat a little bit. Yeah, so I like to look at the full day just because it's easier to think about. So the stat does bump up a tiny bit, but not by too much.
Overall, if I can do it, you can do it. I didn't even look at live charts until a couple weeks back. I didn't make my first trade until maybe a week and a half ago. What I can say is I have a lot of learning to do, obviously. But
I mean, I've been doing this for 4 years too. So
I have a lot of hope and a lot of motivation. So it seems a lot less scary. I feel like I can look at something and I can make an educated guess versus just my monkey brain at the beginning. So
yeah,
we're on an uptrend.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
On an uptrend.
I'm on an uptrend.
So when you get back to Arizona,
yep,
gonna be paper trading.
Yes.
For how many months?
Probably for the next 2 months. We'll see.
Maybe 3.
We'll see what I can do.
Maybe 3. And then
we'll see what I can cook up.
We'll probably have a check-in call. I probably won't. I mean, unless I fly to Arizona or some shit. We'll do a check-in call with Mick in like a month or so. Probably just on Discord. Yep. And then just see where she's at. And once she's done it for 2 or 3 months and if she's seen good results, then start to move her over to props and see if we can get her first payout. And all that.
When I get my first payout.
When you get your first payout.
Yeah.
But
excuse me.
Yeah, it's been a good few days, so I'm gonna call it there, and we'll see you for the check-in call.